There is lots of hullabaloo about the Speaker of the House debacle. As always, there is no better place to get your mostly correct news. Members of the armed forces sometimes go absent without leave, or what's known as AWOL. Sometimes those stories are infuriating. Sometimes they are hilarious. We will focus on the latter.
Hello everybody, welcome back to another edition of Zero Block 30. I'm your co-host Kate. We're joined by Chaps, Captain Cons, and we have a newbie in the group because Nick is out on paternity leave. Do you have anything to say? Would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Tom. I'm happy to be here to fill in for Nick. Hopefully I don't screw anything up.
Okay, Boot.
Kate,
Right,
what a
Boot.
fucking crazy move to make in the first 3 minutes of his first podcast. Introduce yourself.
Just in a surprise way with no warning.
Like this is AA or some shit.
Anyway, that's Tom. He's a delight. And he's our new guy while Nick is out. I just have 2 parts today. 2 parts of the sheet. One is going to be pretty quick. We all see what's going on with Congress right now on Capitol Hill.
Yes.
Speaker of the House. Now, hopefully by the time you're listening to this, they have it sorted out. And we do have a Speaker of the House. But as of right now, it's historic what's happening. This has never happened before. They cannot seem to elect a speaker.
Happened once in 1923.
Oh, pardon me. Well, see, there
Nearly
you go.
100 years, yeah.
And we got through that just fine. Look at us now. But anyway, picture the Speaker of the House like the first little ball drop of a Rube Goldberg machine. Nothing else can really happen on Capitol Hill until they have that Speaker of the House. The Speaker of the House is the one who kicks off pretty much everything that happens for the rest of the machine. So until they have that, they can't do anything. So I wanted to break that down for you guys really quick because I didn't know. I don't know the inner workings of all that shit. I broke it down Barney style. Number 2, going AWOL. Absent without leave. It's when you Irish exit on the military when you're not supposed to. Everybody has a story of somebody they knew going AWOL, and it's always ridiculous. It's always the wildest shitbird in your unit doing some crazy ass thing. So there was this great Reddit thread with the funniest AWOL stories, and we're going to share some of those on the show today. Let's go.
School circle on me. There is lots of hullabaloo about the Speaker of the House debacle. As always, there is no better place to get your mostly correct news.
All right. Diving into what's going on in Capitol Hill right now, the U.S. House of Representatives is now on its, say the 4th day? Third day.
This is the 3rd day, and today at noon, this is Thursday again, they will be having their 7th vote. That's what they'll have.
My God. And yeah, like Chap said, it's the first time in 100 years that a speaker is not elected to the ballot. I'm just going to do quick explainers. So to become Speaker of the House, 218 votes are needed from fellow members. Democratic Representative Hakeem Jeffries from New York is getting 100% of the Democratic votes, but that only equals 212 votes. They knew he's not going to be Speaker of the House, but that's who they're voting for. If all the Republicans did the same and voted for their guy, or one main person, that's who the Speaker of the House would be, but they're split. The Republicans, the bulk of them, are trying to elect GOP leader Kevin McCarthy, but an offshoot group from the Freedom Caucus keep challenging him with their own fella, Representative Byron Donalds of Florida. These 20 or so votes that keep going towards Donalds means McCarthy keeps coming up short. He's getting like 202 votes, 200 whatever votes, and not enough to get 218. So they're split and they're stuck. And basically, members who are speaking to the press are like, they're basically holding us hostage right now. They know what they're doing. They're holding us hostage. They know nothing's going to change, but they keep doing this. No Speaker of the House means none of the rest of them can be sworn in. So they're all in this like political purgatory right now, and nobody can organize, nobody can hire staff. The government can't function as long as they're holding them hostage like this, sort of. The Freedom Caucus Republicans who object to McCarthy becoming Speaker are showing no sign of backing down, and there's no limit to how many times they can vote.
Yeah,
So
there's
they can
no
just keep-
limit. And one of the things that I like about this, and it's just fun to watch because you don't usually have this in government. It hasn't happened in 100 years. So it's kind of fun to watch. Actually, my
It's
wife and I.
fascinating, really.
It really is.
It's our government.
We were watching, we were going to eat last night. By the way, we had BLTs. BLTs need more respect. These things are fucking delicious. So we were sitting there eating these BLTs with butter lettuce, which was incredible. And I had on C-SPAN on YouTube to go live, and we were waiting like this, like, ooh, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? We were so excited about it. But Nothing ended up happening. They had a
nothing.
motion to adjourn. But there's a lot of things that are involved. Like Kate said, the Congress people elect cannot be in their spots. They don't have committees. They don't have all kinds of things. They can't pass any of their legislation. Nothing happens until they figure this out, which is kind of crazy, right? Like that all of that falls on one person. What if that dude is in the hospital or that lady's in the hospital for like a month? What happens?
Well, they have a system for that kind of thing, obviously. But like it's been fascinating to watch too. The reps are like, well, we got called back, like there's nothing we can do for today, so they're back in their offices wearing track suits like drinking whiskey. They're like, there's nothing we can do. It's also been fun to watch. People are watching the C-SPAN. Like, C-SPAN is fucking hot right now. It is
I was listening to some of those calls. It's still wild as fuck, like it was in the 90s.
But I like, because C-SPAN's a lot of, you can hear, the cameras are way up high, and so you can see the representatives, you can hear the general mumble, but all these people now are doing lip reading, trying to figure out exactly what they're saying. And it's just been really kind of fascinating to watch. Like, I know people are, oh, this is a bad look for Republicans, blah, blah, and this makes Democrats look. Buddy, I could see the Democrats fucking up in similar like, I didn't want this to seem like a super political round. It's just a fascinating.
No, it's not. I think it's more of an indictment on how our
watch.
government. I think it's an indictment on how our government operates. It's like, oh, this is just how we've always done it, so let's just keep doing it this way. It's like, maybe this isn't the best way to do this process to elect a new Speaker of the House, but that's a different conversation on how they are reluctant to change anything in how we operate as a government. But it's just crazy to me that this, they call themselves the Freedom Caucus, but really they're just the Chaos Caucus. And they're doing this. They're doing this. And
that's what they should call themselves. I think all those people would be down with it.
I would vote for the Chaos Caucus.
Yeah.
That's my.
Whatever it is, I'm down.
I just would love to be a fly on the wall in the bars around Capitol Hill this week because, afterwards, like all the staff, though they can't be officially staff yet, they're all sitting there with their beers from both sides just bitching to each other like they're in the smoke pit. And so I just thought
was chatting.
Keep going, Cons. Yeah.
I was chatting with our pal Maura Gillespie, former staffer for Congressman Kingsinger. And it was interesting. I was just like, what's your take? And she's like, they're doing this right now for the sake of doing it. They don't actually have a plan.
Right.
I was like, what's their end game? And she's like, they don't have one yet. So they're just doing this. And they just keep rotating the same paint by number, like drain the swamp, fear-mongering, and all these other tactics that they've been doing for however long that accomplish nothing. And really, it's so moronic because in their minds, they're fighting for our country when, in fact, by doing this, they're doing the exact opposite of that. And they're not allowing our country to move forward and get this new session of Congress started, and they're just holding up the entire process.
Yeah, it's fascinating to watch.
I think they're doing the political version of what I do when I lose my train of thought, that I just keep talking until it comes back. And they hope that a plan or their ideas come into fruition because of that. Yeah. We don't know. Hopefully we'll have one soon so we can get the government going again. Until then, let's...
Oh, no.
Oh, no, we're not done here.
I also wasn't quite sure what the Speaker... I wasn't 100% sure what the Speaker of the House fully did, even though we've interviewed one on the show at length.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I had a little bit of Chianti that night. I don't recall.
Ripped a couple cigs.
I wrote a Schoolhouse Rock song about it.
And I ordered spaghetti, and he was upset about it.
Yeah, we can absolutely cut this.
No, let's keep it going.
We probably will.
No,
okay.
we should not.
You can't look at me while I sing, though.
Okay.
There's a deep voice. Okay.
Put it on. We need it for clips, Kate.
Picture me as a deep, sexy Bill.
Okay.
Okay.
The Speaker of the House oversees the lower chamber of Congress, the House, if you please. Normally they rep the majority party, but they run the whole place. But it's starting to get naughty. The agenda and the votes are things they arrange. And the late night sexy parties where the reps get some strange. Clapping cheeks with the Speaker of the House. Politicians with their banners and their caucuses out.
All right, whoa. All right. I think this is a family show, Kate.
Let's keep it going.
And it's sexy with... No, okay.
No, keep going, Kate.
No, that's okay.
No, I loved it. It was great.
Anyway, that's my idea of what the Speaker of the House does. I don't know. I don't really know.
That's a pretty succinct view.
What position do they have in the government, Kate? Do you know?
Doggy style.
That's exactly right. The third most high position. So if the president, vice president, then it would be the Speaker of the House that would be in charge of the country. That would be the new president of the United States. Pretty neat. Pretty neat. All right, let's move on to talk about some AWOL.
Don't be the one. Members of the armed forces sometimes go absent without leave or what's known as AWOL. Sometimes those stories are infuriating. Sometimes they are hilarious. We will focus on the latter.
Yeah, so I'm sure we've all heard of AWOL. Tom, have you heard of AWOL? You get the gist of what it is as a civilian?
No.
Tom doesn't know.
Oh, see? So we'll do the explainer. Like I said, it's the Irish exiting of the military. And, like, say I just stopped showing up to work at Barstool Sports, they'd probably just eventually fire me, but there's no repercussions for that.
I don't know.
I'm just saying, in the military, actually, yeah, there have been times I just didn't come in for a while, so I don't know. But in a regular job, if you stop showing up, you get fired, and then that's the end of it. In the military, if you stop showing up for your job, and you don't show up, like, even if you're, like, late sometimes, you can get in huge trouble. But if you're gone for after 30 days, it becomes a possible federal arrest and conviction. It's called desertion, and a warrant for your arrest is issued. And basically, some people spend the rest of their lives running once they go UA because they'll look for you forever.
Yeah,
afterwards.
I used to work as the company gunny for MPs, and whenever they would come in, sometimes there would be deserters. There was one guy that came in, he must have been 50 years old.
Yes.
And then he had to go to a separations barracks. So this guy's 70 years old, or 50 years old. He left in like the 70s or something. And this dude was in camis. Like he would be in camis, like Marine uniform, with nothing on but Lance Corporal, like the very beginning ranks, like the E3 ranks on his collars at like 50 years old.
Yeah, and we'll get into this Reddit thread all about AWOL, but a lot of the people were saying, some of the MPs were saying every few years, an old dude would just walk up to the gate and be like, I'm done running now. I'm tired. I'd like to turn myself in. And like it happens
I'd
still
like to
all
go
the time.
home.
Because when you're AWOL, like you can't, it's difficult to get a job, a house, to do anything because they're looking for you for the rest of your. So anyway, I wanted to get into absent without leave is what it means. And leave in the military essentially means permission. So I get to go home on leave. I have permission to go and I'm allowed. So if you go without it, big trouble. So there's no hard evidence that the term AWOL came about in the Civil War, but it seems to be the first recorded note of it. In the Confederate Army, absences of short duration were often unpunished. Because, like, back then, how did you keep track of all these people? You're, like, in the fucking woods.
Yeah.
And so dudes
I think now it's crazier because it's like it's very easy to send a text to get a hold of somebody because everyone's got a phone.
Yeah,
there must have been a wild amount of serial killers in, like, the 1600s, 1700s.
But,
you
like,
never get caught.
dudes would dip out for a few days and go into town and get drunk, and then they'd come back again. And back then, you would get in trouble, like you would have to dig a stump out of the ground or carry a railroad rail around for like an hour or two, like dumb fuck games like we play, or you had to wear a giant placard inscribed with the letters AWOL. So it was like the scarlet letter. So instead of like A for adultery, you had to walk around with a giant sandwich board on you that said AWOL. Basically like, look at me, I'm a fucking asshole. Which I love all the way back.
Yeah, I love that shit. They used to do that to DUI people too. Like if you got a DUI, you'd have to stand out there like, don't drink and drive.
Outside the convenience stores on base, they would have people share what their punishments were. Well, so the first time AWOL was legit enough of a thing to be published was during World War I, when the New York Times took note of a truly expert AWOL guy all the way back in 1919. And this was their article, a quote from their article. The prize AWOL performer of the American Expeditionary Force has been discovered. He is Private Jack Angleton of Ambulance Company 1. Angleton has been absent without leave for almost 2 years now, having been away from his division during the entire period of its fighting activities in Europe. And so they're saying, this guy is good. We don't know where he went, but he dipped out. He's been gone for 2 years. And probably this was meant to shame his family and to maybe force him to come out from wherever he is, because the whole nation's like, oh, the Angletons, have you heard about their son? Anyway, whatever. But basically, Irish exiting, and you get big trouble. So have you guys ever had anybody go AWOL?
No.
What do you think the
remember
most famous desertion AWOL of the last 15 years
Bo
is?
Bergdahl.
Easy. Bo
Bo
Bergdahl.
Bergdahl is a great example of that.
One of his first was desertion, and he went AWOL on purpose, and then that becomes desertion after 30 days, and then he got held captive for I think like six years or some shit. Yeah.
But a lot of people, so you can say I dip out and I'm gone for 29 days. If I come back on the 29th day, I could possibly still stay in, and I'll get in trouble. I maybe will lose rank, and have some other dumb stuff happen to me, which I would deserve. But if I wait till the 30th day, then I'm fucked. So sometimes a lot of guys were saying in here, they're like, it's not ethical, but just making a note to you guys, if you think you're going to pop on a drug test, go AWOL instead, because it's less of a punishment as long as you come back by the 29th day and you can piss clean than if whatever. And I was like,
day
oh,
1 and day 29 are the same exact punishment.
Yep. So it's like, whatever. Maybe that's changed. I don't know. But anyways, here's some of the stories. This one's from Rocky Slough, an 0311, an infantryman. Guy in my fire team. I was the team leader. He was a nice guy, but an absolute idiot. He's the one that
Those are a dime a dozen.
He's the one that every company has, and as soon as you say that, we all picture that person in our head. We all had one. He didn't show up one Monday. He lived in the barracks, but he wasn't there. His phone's off. The entire week goes by without a word. The beginning of the following week, we head to Bridgeport. He still isn't around. And Bridgeport is a cold weather training area in the mountains of California.
Yeah.
It
sucks.
It sucks. About a week into Bridgeport, he finally shows up to our platoon one day. Apparently his dad had come out to visit, and he just felt like hanging out with his dad for a couple of weeks.
I love that.
He just didn't know he couldn't do that.
Why are you here? Well, me and my pops, we went down to fucking Twin Peaks, where the beers are 33 degrees. We had a great time.
Yeah, and normally you would get fucked for this, but this guy goes on to write, luckily he was such a fuck up that no one seemed to care. He was pretty much just told not to do it again, and I
could see that too, yeah.
Yeah, and I was told to keep a better eye on him. Since this guy was the team leader, he's the one who got in trouble. A year later, I stayed at my girlfriend's house one night. It was the night that Osama bin Laden got killed. The next morning, the front gate was over an hour wait to get in. I was 20 minutes late. I took 10 times the ass chewing for being late than my saw gunner had for being missing for 2 weeks. So remember, it pays to be a fuck up. And then somebody said, was he at least a decent saw gunner? And Rocky Slough replied, absolutely not.
No, absolutely not. They had to take his weapon away from him and give it to somebody else.
Yeah,
I love that part.
There are people like that, though, who were like that person in your unit to such an extent that they could almost get away with anything because nothing was expected of them.
Well, their presence was causing a headache.
Yeah.
So it's just go sit in a corner. It's essentially like being told to go sit in a corner and don't touch anything.
Yep.
Yeah.
If they're gone for 2 weeks, as long as they're not dead and I know where they are, whatever.
The military dunce hat.
This one, and this is in a Marine Corps Reddit page, so this is mostly Marine Corps stories, but I'm sure every branch has like fucking gems of them. Murica 1776 boy says, a recruit at Paris Island straight up said nope in the middle of the night during third phase. And third phase is like you're done. You just have like a week left and that's it. Guy walked off with his rackmate's ID, a t-shirt, and his green sweatpants. Just waltzed on by the fire watch. Fire watch ain't no snitch, so they just let him walk out. And he hid in a swamp for like 2 days before hitchhiking back home.
See, I think that guy should be honorary. Like,
they'll get into that in a second.
Yeah.
The DIs, the drill instructors, realized he was missing during the count. They notified PMO, that's the police. The military police set up a perimeter, checked all outbound vehicles. Again, Paris Island's a fucking island in the craziest swamps. They used canines to try and track him. Coast Guard
absolutely not going to
helicopters.
happen. Canine handler, zero chance that happens. None.
Turns out Bro was hiding underneath logs and shit in the swamp to avoid being found. 2 days later, an off-base police officer stopped him, an 18-year-old male with no hair dressed in a white t-shirt and stolen jeans, and he wouldn't ID himself. The cop pretty much sent him, was like, oh, you're from fucking Paris Island. But he went to go bring him back in the cop car. The guy fucking sprinted off into the woods again. He hitchhiked all the way back to Florida to his mom, and his mom was like, hell the fuck no. She didn't want the heat. So she drove him back to the front gate of Paris Island and was like, fucking take him. And then he ended up getting kicked out. And this guy's saying he would have made a great recon Marine sniper. They should have kept him.
I mean,
if you can live in the
sounds
swamps.
similar to the basis of the movie First Blood with Rambo, kind of just like living around the swamps. I have a question though. How far do you think you guys could make it if you had to hitchhike?
Ooh.
To hell and back. I think I mean, I think that I could talk my way into it. Like, just going to a truck stop, sitting there, eating some fucking chicken and dumplings and hanging out with the whole squad, maybe hook up with a lot lizard or two, and then I get in there, and me and whoever, we hit the 18 wheels, and we listen to John Denver all the way to Denver.
Oh, yeah. My dad used to hitchhike from Philly to see my mom in West Virginia, like, all the time. He said he would be at a party, and he would be drinking some beers, and then he would, like, start thinking about her, and he said he would Irish exit from the party and just walk outside and be like, West Virginia? Anybody? And he would
Top
go,
10 most romantic things I've ever heard.
Yeah, he would get there and go see
no,
her.
it's funny you say that because that just reminded me. I'm pretty sure my mom used to do something similar. Maybe out like when she would go out trying to get like from the city out to Montauk in the summers, they would just hitchhike.
Yeah, it was
Crazy.
a different time. Different time.
Pick 'em up.
I like this one. So when I got sent to, you do boot camp and then MCT, which is like a weapons course everybody has to go to, and then you go to your schoolhouse, which is your individualized specialty school. So mine was like military police / field military police, whatever. But there wasn't enough of us to pick up a class yet when I got there. So you have to wait for more Paris Island and California recruits to come through, and that can take months sometimes. So you're sitting in purgatory. You have nothing to do all day long. But they make you go sit in this classroom for, like, I think I was there for like 3 months doing literally nothing. That sounds nice, but it's fucking crazy making. Because what do higher up Marines do when there's nothing to do? They just fuck with your life and make you play fuck games.
And clean.
And so then Marines start getting in trouble, start doing all kinds of shit. So this guy is saying, I had a buddy who, when he was in the schoolhouse waiting for a platoon to pick up, so the same kind of situation I was stuck in, his first day in the waiting platoon, they did a roll call and his name wasn't on it. Same day, next situation. Same day, next day, same thing. So he's like, they don't know I'm here. So he just went into his room and never came back out for like a month. He just didn't show up. He just hung out in his room every day, and his buddy let him know if they ever called his name during roll call. Eventually, he got caught because they were like, there's just a Marine living here on base, and he got an NJP. And somebody responded, did he not realize he would just be there forever if he kept doing that? Like, he didn't tell anybody. You can't just hide in your room.
I mean, it wouldn't be bad. You get 3 meals a day. You're just hanging out. Probably put an Xbox in there and just chilling.
This next one I love because I'd heard this legend, and the name of this Marine is so perfect. Private Powers. Did you guys ever hear about Private Powers?
Yes.
Yeah. So like back in 2007, he got released from the brig. I don't know exactly what he did. But long story short, I was his team leader, and right before we went to Mojave Viper, we had a 96, so a long weekend.
That's 4 days off.
Yeah, Private Powers never comes back from Miami, and a few months later, we find this guy on Bang Bros, the Bang My Teacher episode. Yeah, same Marine Corps tattoos and everything. I don't know what happened to him afterwards. So Private Powers on the Bang Bros.
Is that the
bus.
dude that was with Heather Brooke? You guys remember Heather Brooke, the best BJer in the history of the world?
No.
Maybe.
Of course, but I don't know if that was Private Powers.
I remember the guys would always get excited when there was a really popular porn and the guy in it had a Marine Corps tattoo. They'd be like, all right.
Hell yeah, get it, brother.
So shout out Private Powers. I heard there was a lot of this next example. So like guys in Thailand on a MEU and they have a few days off, so they're going around Thailand and like they're out at the bars and an older American man would just walk past them and be like, Semper Fi, I've been UA for 30 years over here. Have a good night. Like just old dudes who dipped out during Vietnam and have just stayed in Asia ever since.
I mean, if you get VA benefits, I told my wife, if we ever had to leave the country for whatever reason, the Philippines or Vietnam is a place to go because your money just goes so, like, look, Donnie I think went to Vietnam and he stayed at like a 5-star hotel for like $40 a night.
Oh yeah, you can't beat. So if you're gonna go UA, do it there.
Wait, sorry, question, because I actually have never given thought to this until you just said it right now, chaps. Do you have to alert the VA if you move out of the country?
Nope.
No, right? I wouldn't think so. Okay.
Yeah. This one was just a quick one. It was our first night in our squad bay after meeting our drill instructor. So like the very first night at boot camp, a dude gets up, puts his Go Fasters on, his sneakers, and just books it. Just bolts out into the woods.
I've had enough.
I want to say something here. Okay, go ahead. Keep going, Kate.
Well, Firewatch didn't know what to do, and they were too scared to bang on the DI's hatch. So they had when you first
Firewatch.
meet your DIs,
if you don't know what Firewatch is, Firewatch is like the person who's on guard, and it's a person within your own group. So they're usually the same rank as you. They don't, and these people are in boot camp too. Like they've never graduated. They are learning at the very beginning stages as well.
And the first day of boot camp is when they come out screaming, they're spitting in your face, the flecks of spit are just spraying off your face, and you're like so terrified. I was afraid to use the bathroom. I didn't go to the bathroom for like 3 days because I didn't know how to ask properly, and I knew they wouldn't let me.
Sit down, head cough.
So you're like pissing in your pants a little bit. Anyway, they were so afraid that they just let the guy run out into the darkness, and they never told the drill instructors, which probably made it worse for them. Finally, this is the last one before I'll get to an anti-AWOL story, which I thought was really interesting. When I was in Fort Sill doing artillery training, Cons, this might be you. One of our guys met a girl out in Lawton, out in a little towny gal, and peaced out one night. While he was gone, we got hit with a tornado, and I remember our first sergeant telling us we got to make sure everyone's safe, even Lance Corporal Schmuckatelli out in La La Land. Even this guy, we know, somebody get a hold of him and just make sure he's okay. Well, right before I was about to leave, he shows back up 29 days after he left for the first time. He was signed back in, had his ass chewed out for over an hour, and they have these like super suicide prevention rooms, but basically rooms where you're just under watch 24/7. But he opened the window and just ran off into the night again. Apparently,
which technically starts his 29 days over again.
Apparently, he had read about the status of being AWOL only starting after 30 days, so he came back on the 29th, checked in, and then dipped out again, only to do it again. So who knows where he is now.
This is a perfect example of younger, lower enlisted just thinking they're smarter than the system. And
he is. He did it several times. He got like 3 months off.
Hold on. By all accounts, yes, he is beating the system right now. But I think ultimately, if he wanted to, pursue a career in the military, or even, ride out his contract, I don't know that he could do it if he keeps doing this.
No, they would kick you out for failure to adapt or habitual offender type of thing. I want to say something here, though, because a lot of these are from boot camp. And we've had people that listen to this show, and they're like, I want to go to boot camp. I want to join the Army, Navy, Air Force, whenever they're listening to the show. If you're at boot camp and you get to the place where you don't want to do it, lay there. Like, in your rack, just lay there and refuse to get up. They can't do shit about it. It cannot be a NJP or a negative kick out. Like, you can't get charged. You can get charged for it. No, you can't get charged for it. Failure to adapt, and you will be removed from boot camp. I guarantee it, within 3 days. Like, they won't keep you because you have failure to adapt. And they'll be like, this person, you might have to go to like a separations platoon or something like that, but you're out of the military in less than a week.
But I would say it's easier to just go through it, man. Just go.
5 years over a week?
Yeah, because it's a hoot once you're out in the fleet. Come on.
True.
I need to admit something. I don't know if I should be admitting this, but I'm going to admit it anyway.
Cons has actually been UA.
He's been AWOL,
he actually dipped out his first,
Yeah. No, I guess technically I went AWOL a whole bunch because there were places I would drive on the weekends when I was at Fort Hood. I'm pretty sure Dallas was outside the radius, so technically I needed a leave form to go to Dallas, but I'm like, I'm not going through all that trouble to put in a leave form. I'm like, I'm an adult, and I never didn't make it back.
Nobody's going to ask officers anyway.
Yeah.
Nobody.
No. Yeah.
Did people ever go AWOL from West Point where they couldn't take the and they just dipped out? Can you get in trouble for that?
I'm trying to think. You absolutely can. They could get kicked out.
But you can't get you wouldn't get a warrant out for you if you dipped out from West Point and ran away, right?
Are you under the UCMJ when you're there?
Yeah, you absolutely
Well, then you
are.
absolutely can.
Okay, so then you would be. Okay.
We're in the Army, yeah. So I'm trying to remember. I can't remember any off the top of my head, but I'll check with some folks and see if they remember any stories. But I can't recall anyone doing that now.
Now it's time for save rounds and alibis.
Let's move on to save rounds and alibis. Cons, we will start with you. Kate was ready to clap again. Keep going, Cons.
Yeah, she was. All right, so tomorrow I have just an annual physical. It's especially as we get up there in age, it's just important. I mean, that's one of those things I think that for the longest time after getting out of the Army, I just ignored completely. I was like, I feel fine. I don't need to go to the doctor. What's the point? But my wife was like, all right, you need to just start doing this yearly because you never know. This is the age. I hate to say it, but these are the age weird things.
This is the age where we start getting our buttholes probed.
Oh, buddy!
Yes.
I don't think ladies have to do that, right?
No, they do. My parents on Valentine's Day once, they got our neighbor, shout out John Dini, to drive them. They got as a couple, they got their colonoscopies done.
Oh,
at the same time.
I'm interested in doing that. Have you seen the ones where they have a clear pipe and you could see it?
No.
There's ones where you have clear pipes because some people want to watch all that poop go from their colons. And I got to be honest, I watched a couple YouTube vids on it. It's incredible. It's just I got to say.
You see a Matchbox car rolling through it. Oh, man, I forgot about that.
I could see that being kind of like people like myself who like watching pimple popping videos. Similar vein there. So I don't know. Maybe I would be into that. But nevertheless, so I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow, and I just use a private doctor. But I noticed, Kate, the other day, you mentioned you were at the VA. Chaps, I know you used the VA. So I was just kind of curious, and this is really a question to all veterans. Why do you both use the VA as opposed to, a private physician? Because you both have, obviously, health insurance. You could use private insurance, private health care. But why do you choose to use the VA? I was just kind of curious.
My quick, simple answer is that I'm too dumb to look into my work health insurance.
Okay.
Buddy, I don't know what I got. I don't know. I use it for my son. But the VA's already been set up for me for a long time. It's pretty simple once you're in it. And so I just stick with that. That being said, I had a dermatology appointment yesterday. No gloves. The doctor was digging around in my toes. Mm-hmm. And then afterwards didn't wash their hands and then kept going about their day. And I said, that's not normal, is it?
I disagree. I think if you're a podiatrist, whatever you do. Dermatologist. Yeah, I think even more so, like, dermatologists deal with gross shit all the time.
So wash your hands, maybe.
Yeah,
wear
true.
A pair of gloves.
But they have to do it without gloves, from what I understand. And if there's any dermatologists and I get this wrong, let me know. But they have to feel, like, because some of these melanomas or whatever, these little marks, you can't see, so they do a little field test. I don't know, that one just might be a fetish.
I was relieved I shaved my big toes the other day because that would have been embarrassing.
Cons, I do it so I could talk on this show about it, my experiences. That's the reason why. I do it.
So you do it for the content. I appreciate that.
And for the first time, I have a scheduled dentist appointment at the VA. And buddy, I am nervous because if it's anything like Navy medicine, it's going to fuck me up, dude. It's just going to fuck me up.
That was probably the worst part of getting out, was the first time I went to a civilian dentist, and they're like, have you just not been going to a dentist for the last 10 years? And I said, no, I've just been going to Army dentists. They're like, oh, well, we got some work to do in here.
Yeah.
So
and
we're going to get a bunch of angry messages from Army dentists who are like, we take our job very seriously.
Kate also had a very bloody dentist experience.
Oh, yeah, the one in New York City before I had good insurance. There was blood splatter all over the walls, and I was too polite to get up. Yeah,
not a good sign.
Anyway, thanks for asking.
Sorry, just last thing, because at the top of the show, we were talking about all the nonsense going on in Congress right now. Did you all know that there are now 30 Army veterans serving in the House of Representatives, which is 5 more than the previous Congress? And this jump in veterans is the largest increase in veterans on Capitol Hill since Vietnam vets started arriving in the 70s and 80s. So I just think it's great that we're seeing more veterans go to the Hill and legislate, on behalf of our community. I think that was a large area that was devoid on the Hill for a very long time. Yeah. So to see that change, I think it helps to have our own, so to speak, kind of looking out for us, and hopefully that can affect some positive change for all veterans out there.
Yeah, we'll have to get back down there again, interview the newbies, and get drunk with John Boehner again.
I'm going in March. It's the Hill Day, and they have all kinds of veteran service organizations that are going to be there, and I'm going to go with the actual VA and be a part of their little group. I'm excited about that, and see how that goes. Kate, what about you? Save rounds.
I actually have nothing. I had a super long one last week, so I guess I do not have one today.
Well, you can have one both days. I think that's fair if you want to.
Kate, if I'm any example, you can have as many as you want.
But you also don't have to. Like, there's no reason to do that.
I don't think I have one. I'm still on the edge. My son still has 1 bite left at daycare. And so every day, all day long, the app is buzzing. And I'm like, is it? Are we out? No, am I going to have to leave
the
work
real life 1 bite, everybody knows the rules. You got to get out.
It truly is. So that's really keeping me on edge, but that's it.
My save round is, did you guys see that we talked about Live Golf a few months ago, not even a few months ago. Yeah. We had David Flaherty on, and then we posted a video with the 9/11 survivors family. Did you guys see the new news about Live Golf and what they did? Like the Saudis behind it?
No, I don't know that I know. I didn't hear this.
There was an article we're recording on Thursday. There was an article that came out, and it talked about Live Golf and the Saudi backers. They went and found 9/11 survivors' families and are gathering information on those that are posting negatively about Saudi Arabia on social media. And they're doing investigations and all kinds of shit. And apparently some of the people in Live Golf and in the United States government knew about this, and they still continue to let it go on. How fucked up is that?
Pretty fucked up. Where did you see that? Fuck, holy fuck.
I mean,
Yeah,
there's
it's bad.
articles in a lot of different places, but the first one that I saw gives it credence. It was on Bloomberg.
Damn.
Bloomberg, the
Oh, okay.
Associated Press, and Wall Street Journal all picked up on it. It just came out like 20 minutes before we started recording. But I'm
okay.
looking
Yeah, I
at
didn't see it.
when we come back on Tuesday, we'll give you an update on that and see what's going on. But that
Do you know-
that shit's crazy.
The Live Golf, they're only doing par 3 courses for the ladies because they don't.
Is
let
that
them-
true?
They don't let them drive.
Oh yeah, good one, Kate. That's a good one, Kate. My last one, 40 sucks. I'm just gonna tell you, we had a winter storm over here last week during Christmas Eve. Man, these plumbers are raking in the dough. I actually told McCartney after I paid the bill, I was like, "Hey, kiddo, if you don't want to go to college, you need to get into this game, like the
Go
plumber
to a
game."
trade school.
Dude, the
Oh, my
plumber
God,
game.
yeah.
They were at my house, I swear to God, no more, absolutely no more than 30 minutes. $2,500 bill. $2,500. All they did was solder
Yeah.
like 3 pipes. Took 30 minutes.
It's impressive, but all that stuff, if you tried to do that yourself, forget it. You're not
I'd burn
doing
my
that.
house
And
down.
my thinking is too,
Without
if
question.
you gotta pull my pubes out of a drain, buddy, take my wallet.
No, but I think that's that was awkward. But I think that's absolutely right, chaps. You know, with the cost of college where it's at, I think going to a trade school, being an electrician, a plumber, not only is that, you know, really respectable work, it could be a very nice living, and evident by the fact that showed up for 30 minutes, got paid $2,500. So that's certainly a good route to take.
And for those of you that are getting out with your GI Bill, going to use it,
Yes.
I would say, unless you plan on going get a master's degree, don't even worry about it. Go to a trade school, because a master's degree is a new bachelor's degree. Like so many higher end jobs want you to have a master's degree. Just go be a plumber, dude. You'll make everybody's gonna have toilets forever. Like so you're always gonna have a
get
job.
my master's in fart blogging.
Sound the retreat.